Well, I finally, at Martin's thing, when Dungy was there, I said, Tony, I never do this because of the photo.
Yeah.
Well, sure, bro.
One for the road.
And I realized how bad they were.
Okay.
So I stopped drinking all caffeine. I lost like 30 pounds. And then I stayed off caffeine for so many years that now I'm super sensitive to it. Like, let me tell you this way. This has been a week.
That you've been like
Like, I can literally have like a shot of caffeine.
Sorry, you just walk up the line. I made eye contact and they just like, that is
It's crazy weird how your body changes, you know what I mean?
best yeah.
The only time I really like getting caffeine is like on those all-nighter studies.
What plan, otter plan are you on? Are you on the business plan?
Usually works like
What do you mean?
Sure.
Well, there's 3 different plans. There's basic, pro, and business.
Yeah.
gives me, I don't even know what
What it is.
Oh, I think I'm on the pro.
Yes.
Oh, Otter.
Yeah, I'm on the pro.
Yes, no, I was like,
And
oh, really?
it keeps telling me, oh, well, you uploaded your,
Or a business. I'm on business.
you're on business.
Yeah, I'm on the one
You
that.
have the unlimited.
Yes, I need the unlimited.
I may need to do that.
No, see, but the thing is, like,
Yeah, I was started on pro, but I upped it up.
It just sounds somebody else.
right as the sun is emerging, and they're all like finish up the day, I'll go to class, turning paper down,
Not a problem, just
and then that night I'm in bed like 5
Crash. 9 o'clock. Done.
Right.
Like
I'll sit there at 5.
Okay, yeah, should be good.
Just sleep before the sun goes down.
Right.
I'm gonna get you on Coach's calendar, possibly this week or next week.
Well, I'm trying. I want to write it next week. So,
He said he'd give you 20 minutes. So.
love to,
I didn't have a headset.
you know.
So it's
pretend
not
like I'm
on you
an
at all. Yeah, it's not on you at all. I didn't have
You know.
a headset, so.
I
There's
will.
some guys that are
None
asking
of
for
us
it.
knew.
I will. We'll put stuff out there that national guys can use. You know. I can take what he wants to say and I will say it.
We should be
Though he
used to
wants to
them
say
by
it.
now, but I'm still not.
Real easy.
That's it.
Well, yeah, like, we can even push off this Mexico run that we're saying, so what
This is the time to do it before the game starts.
So it's really.
Sorry. Denver wanted me to ask you if we went live with him, the last coach. Yeah, were we actually up and on here? She said they didn't hear you, didn't know I
It's funny, talking about however they want to say it, you know, the Methodist stuff, they'll give me the quotes. They'll even write them out sometimes, I just cut and paste. But then they'll go, oh, wait a minute, no, I want to say this. Sure, Bishop, whatever you want.
I think it looks like that's what we're texting them right now.
I'm actually pulling up the athletics website to see.
Again, coaches interview pre-tape, but in the same spot.
I honestly don't even know what to say. Like, we need a game. This is nonsense.
Yeah.
This is a nonsense week. We just filler.
I've been writing fillers since
Yeah,
June.
this is getting ridiculous. And then next week will be another, bad team, and then we'll get into it.
We respect them greatly. We've got some fine athletes over there.
Yes, on the road, it's gonna be in the hotel.
What's your over-under on the halftime score?
Last time, so I should be sending you stuff at almost exactly the same time.
Say 35-0.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
yeah.
And in the third quarter, we see Bryce Archie. This is
I like how they have these guys, since January, and practice after practice after practice. And he doesn't know his backup. He can't say who his backup quarterback is. Because the minute you do that, the guy that's not not the backup quarterback says, damn, I'm transferring.
I'm in the portal.
It's like, it's ridiculous. You can't even say like who's what. You gotta couch every single thing.
Yep. Well, and you know, the other two guys they got, and then they've got the kid from St. Augustine entering next year. And of course, he's probably sitting there going, okay, Byron will be gone, but but I don't think he will be.
We'll see. He'll be an unusual kid if he's not.
Yeah. He has shown himself to be an unusual kid. Yeah, today, in fact, today's column I have up today, posted yesterday, is about the battle for the backup quarterback.
What did you say?
Well, I asked that question.
Too close to call after 300 straight practices. Still can't decide it.
That was the question I asked last week, and it cut paste.
I mean, so today, you saw something today that's why it's waited?
What was the one play?
That was a good pattern. Back up. So silly.
Oh. I don't blame you. We're all set here.
Yeah, I just have one or two other things to do, but after catch up. Coach is just outside the door. He is.
Light crowd for week 0, huh?
We got no idea what this week even means, Coach.
Well,
We need a game.
We ask about Bethune-Cookman.
yeah.
We need a game.
Well, week 0. We got fall sports, which is cool. I see out of my office. We got soccer games. Coach Buhorn and that crew starting on Thursday night with Seattle. So good luck to our men. But today, Tuesday of week 0, we finished camp. Saturday night, and they stayed in the hotel Saturday night. We had a big family cookout. We had 500 some odd family members here Saturday afternoon to kind of close camp out, and then we are into a normal game week with Sunday being their off day. Monday was meetings, workouts, and then today on the field. So today, first look of Bethune for us as a staff, a normal game week, just to get our feet back under ourselves in terms of game planning, what a normal process looks like, and then we'll do a mock game type situational practice on Saturday, 1 week out, work a lot of end of game type situations to get our substitutions and all of that kind of finalized, and then get rolling with a normal game week, get ready for Bethune next week, starting, like I said, today. So, questions?
So from an on-the-field perspective, the only difference, or the main difference between camp and now is looking at the opponent a little bit more. I'm curious about that part of it, as far as the in-the-classroom differences.
Yeah, 100%. So a normal Monday night for us last night in terms of a install for Bethune, a normal Tuesday morning today for us, getting ready for Bethune. So for these guys, they're on Bethune at this point. And the big challenge to them is there's no school this week, which a year ago we had school this week. No school this week, so the challenge is to get their process now back. You know, they've had essentially 3 weeks in a hotel where they wake up, breakfast is there, shuttle over here, and then they're football all day long. Now, getting used to install last night, this morning, install meetings, special teams, normal down for us offensively, defensively, right into practice. Did very little work against each other today. Almost all scout team type work in both special teams, offensively and defensively. So normal Tuesday. So now the challenge to them is normally they would be eating lunch, going to class. They have nothing right now. So extra film, treatment, whatever extra work they need to get done. But the challenge, again, to them from our perspective is, all right, what is your normal Tuesday process going to be? So go through it today, and then tomorrow, what is your normal Wednesday process going to be? What is your normal Thursday process going to be in terms of preparation for a game? That's why I said Saturday's a mock game for us, to where it won't be as physical as obviously a scrimmage would be, but to get themselves up, hotel, get ready for what a game would be. So just going through it, as much as you feel like we've got a veteran team, a lot of the veterans are not guys that were with us a year ago. So just for a lot of guys, morning practices are new. Guys are used to afternoon practices. So just getting themselves in a routine, which we, again, talk about their process and what that looks like day to day.
Coach, you mentioned a couple of veteran players. We're talking to Stokes and Sean Atkins. Just what, first of all, Andrew, having a 30-year-old guy punting, just what having his experience playing a whole other sport for years, and what does he bring to your team, and what has Sean meant in his time here going from a walk-on to a Blitnikoff watch guy? Yeah, Andrew Stokes is legitimately probably my favorite person on this football team, and I've gotten to know Stokesy over the last, obviously, 2 years. Man, he's 30. He's older than most of our young coaches, most of our graduate assistants and analysts. So he brings such a cool approach, because he wants to fit in, but he's also looked at as a father figure by a lot of those guys. In that specialist room, talk about those young guys, like literally, they just follow him around. He's like Papa Bear. But so mature, so fun to be around. I hang back with him during our punt units, and just his mental approach to the game. And I mean, he's phenomenal. He's a young man that when we got here was coming off an injury and a rough year, and I thought he had a solid year a year ago. He had an incredible offseason, physically, mentally. I always joke with him, like, man, I hope I never see you in a game, but if I do, man, we got so much confidence in you. He's 30, he's in college and hanging out with college kids. A lot of us would pay money to do that. I know you're not going to agree with me, but that would be fun, You had to go down that road. Yeah. An easy target. But he's just brings a mature approach, and he, not just the specialist room, but our special teams unit in general. Really intelligent. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And then Sean Atkins, man, Sean, it was really cool. I have our older guys on our leadership council speak to the team every night during fall camp, and it's different guys every night. And Sean spoke towards the end of camp. To hear Sean's story, he talked for about 15 minutes, was really vulnerable in telling his story. It was really the first time he truly opened up in front of the team. I thought it was really cool just to hear his challenges coming out of high school, not getting recruited, and the belief his family had in him, and really that's what got him through to this point. And Sean, I remember standing with him during a special teams walkthrough last fall camp, and he was coming off a shoulder, and I'm like, man, you're gonna have a big year, right, Sean? And he's like, you think? I'm like, Sean, you're gonna be really special. Like, slots in this offense are really got a chance. Like, you're gonna have a lot of balls come your way. We trust you on third down. We trust you in the red zone. And it was like, really? Like, Sean, you're gonna be really, really special. And he talked about that moment in front of the team the other day. Like, man, outside of my parents, this is the first staff that's believed in me like that. And it's not a knock on the previous staff, but just he needed that push and that confidence. And what you see out of Sean now is juice, energy. He talks smack. He's so fun to be around at practice. He has a crazy amount of confidence right now. And I thought as the year went last year, he had a crazy amount of confidence. And he just talked about, in front of the team, man, when I'm out there, no matter my size, no matter my speed, no matter that I was a walk-on or not, he's like, I know I'm going to route your butt up. And just that confidence he exudes now, it goes throughout the entire team. You look at this guy, he don't look like what a prototypical slot receiver at this level looks like, but he certainly plays that way. So really, I got a soft spot for walk-ons in my heart, and he's one that's got a really cool story, and getting a chance to see his parents on Saturday, they're so proud of him. And he talked about the bowl game after that. He's like,
a bowl game on December 23rd is not the, or December 21st is not the standard for this program, but seeing my parents after that game and holding that trophy, and he's like, man, like that was a culmination of a lot. And I'm getting sentimental here, but pretty cool story, a young man like that to, like you said, Bolitnikoff watch list and all these things for a guy that was working at Meat Market 2 years ago running food. It's pretty cool.
Alex, Jason Vaughn we spoke to last week, and of course last year everybody's getting to know one another, new systems and so forth. But he mentioned a huge difference this year is that it's becoming more and more of a player-led team. That has to be a huge piece of the program building that you've spoken about often.
Yeah, you know, and I think we still have challenges there. We're still continuing to build, but I've told these guys all along, and we're certainly closer than we've ever been, but as long as it's coach driven and we're the ones holding you accountable for everything from where to be, when to be there, extra work, what the locker room looks like, your body language when you walk in this building, as long as the coaches controlling it, we're going to be capped at a certain point. 7-6 would be a great example of that. When it becomes player driven and it's controlled within that locker room, there's no ceiling, and we're certainly getting closer to that. You know, but I think back to places I've been, programs that have won for a long time, that's what you recruit to. Guys walk in, it's like the older guys, the veteran guys, they got recruited on that premise, and then they hold the standard in everything. We're not there. We're slowly creeping that way. We're daily, I think, getting closer to that, but we're not there. You hear more at practice, you see more in meetings of guys speaking up, and we're encouraging it like crazy. We've met a lot more by unit, for example, like quarterbacks with the wideouts, and let the quarterbacks run it. D-line with the linebackers, let the linebackers run it. In terms of you guys coach it, like if you know it like you're supposed to know it, you guys coach it, and you coach effort, and you coach attitude, and you coach body language, and you coach communication. We're not quite there yet, but we're force feeding it at a crazy rate.
Right. You mentioned you were talking about Andrew. Of course, he came through that pro kick program, and that's really blossomed in one heck of a, should we say, a feeder system for the colleges at all levels, right? I mean, that's really turned out a lot of players, that program.
Yeah, and Andrew would be a great guy to ask about it. You know, Johnny over there, what they've done, they've taken now high school guys, they've taken former rugby players, they've taken former Australian rules football guys, and have taught them how to punt consistently, a little bit unorthodox in some ways, which is what you want in the punt game, no different than a dual threat quarterback. You want a guy that has multiple tools in his toolbox to be able to rugby and kick one way, rugby kick the other, pocket punt, and that's one thing that Australian punters give you that traditionally American punters don't, is the ability to move the pocket. And so, yeah, what they've done over there is phenomenal, and it's really cool because they don't really have an allegiance to a certain place. They're just trying to make sure that guys go to school for free, guys get their education, guys get an opportunity to play in the National Football League, and the National Football League is now catching on with multiple Australian punters in that league as well. But no, it's the pro kick system is incredible in terms of you hop on a Zoom call and see 20 guys that are really, really special, you know, and they do tours in the summer and come through, and it's like it's the first time you meet a lot of these guys, but Stokes is a guy that came through that program and is hitting his peak right now.
What kind of season do you think Andrew had last year as a punter?
I think he would tell you probably inconsistent. You know, I think there was things to fine-tune, you know, in terms of pooch punting and being able to pin him deep. He'll be the first one to tell you there was inconsistencies up and down. But like I said, you look at spring into fall camp, he's been one of the most consistent guys in our program.
I don't know how unusual it was. He didn't have any touchbacks. Maybe there were other guys around the country who didn't have that, but that seemed, maybe I didn't think about it at the time, but he just didn't pooch it far enough in. I mean, no touchback seems like interesting.
It is super interesting. It's certainly a good thing. I think, again, if you ask Andrew, he'll tell you, man, like the 19's better than the 20, but man, the 5 is
Yeah, the 5 is
five is
great.
going to be better than the 10.
Yeah.
So it's, again, there's a difference between being good and being elite, and Stokes' standard, same as ours are for him, is to be elite.
When you were in a game situation and you're trying to decide whether to go for it on fourth down or punt it, are you working off a chart? Are you working off feel? Have you thought through every possible field down and distance situation? How do you just make that decision?
Yeah. So analytics go into it. You know, we've got analytics going into every drive based on a lot of different factors. People way smarter than you, and algorithms also way smarter than you and I that provide it weekly. Every game is different based on a lot of different factors, but you start to get a feel as the game goes in terms of, man, I feel like it's worth the risk or not. You know, you get a sense for how your defense is playing. You get a sense for the tempo of the game. You know, going into the game, like I know how many drives we're going to have. And based on how fast we go, based on how fast or slow the other team goes. So do you need to steal a possession or not? And then how are you playing, you know, in terms of, are we hitting on all cylinders or are we not? And because the worst thing you want to do is put your defense in a bad spot too. So I can honestly tell you that every time we went for it on fourth down a year ago, I thought we were going to get it. And I know it sounds cliche, but like if I ever thought, man, we don't have a good plan here, or I don't have a great feel for what the defense is doing, or defensively we're playing lights out, and the only thing I could do is screw this up, we'll punt it. Where we were in a unique spot a year ago, and I know we talked about this a lot in the spring, is we were in that 35 to 40 yard line range a lot on fourth down, where it's like, man, you're 4th and 5. I'm giving you more than you probably need to know, but you're 4th and 5. You're just out of where we felt like field goal range a year ago, which we've addressed that issue as well. But where you felt like you were just out of field goal range and you're really too tight to punt it, but you don't feel comfortable on 4th and 5 here going for it. You saw us take delays at times to give Andrew a better shot to pin it. But you also saw us go for it on 4th and 5, 4th and 4, 4th and 6 sometimes, where I'm like, analytically, it's not the smartest thing, but you're like in this gray area of what do you do here? And so offensively, obviously addressed. I feel like what we've got in a field goal situation right now with John and Ty and Nico still competing, but feel like we've got deeper range. I think you're going to have a lot less of those situations where you're either going to kick it or you're going to be in a 4th and 1 situation where you're going to feel like you can go for it, 4th and 2, 4th and 3.
One more on this, if I could. Just when you think back when you got into coaching to now, is going forward on fourth down a different animal? Has the mindset changed? Have people gotten more aggressive, or like you're trying to steal a possession that you feel like the odds are on you really need to go for it on fourth down versus?
I don't know if it's changed. I think it's always been a philosophical approach. I think analytics obviously has become more of a factor in it. I think you used to do your own analytics in terms of what you feel. You know, I feel like I go into every game knowing now, all right, we're going to take our chances either early or we're going to hold to take our chances until later. I feel like I game plan more 4th and 1 to 3s, 4th and 4s more than I ever have. Probably because now I'm the one making the decision on whether we're going to go for it. I don't know if the game's changed. I think it's you. Maybe what we do offensively, I always feel like you got a shot, but I don't know if it's changed. I think just maybe been more on the forefront because of the analytics.
You mentioned that some of your players are slowly but surely providing the leadership you wanted. Do you see any future football coaches in that room?
Yeah, I see a ton of future football coaches. It's funny, like there's guys I always joke with, like, man, like you'll be working here in a couple of years whenever your career's over, and they're always like, man, like I don't know if I want these hours. So, you know, and with NIL the way it is, I don't know if anybody wants to take a pay cut. You think I'm joking? So. But yes, you see a bunch of future coaches and a bunch of dudes that you're like, man, these guys see the game a different way. And I'm the first one to grab them, like, you're going to be coaching, and it's always the same answer, like, man, these hours, like,
that we see when your car's here at whatever time. Like, yeah, dude. It's like,
Who would some of those guys be?
man, that's a great question. Sean Atkins is one. Mike Lofton I talk to all the time about coaching. I think Matt Harris can end up coaching. Rashad Cheney can end up coaching. Byram will end up coaching at some point. He says no way, but he'll end up coaching. Jaden Alexis. Jaden Alexis is like a coach in there nonstop. Those are the guys that come to mind.
Coach, you talked about a story a little bit already, but now that the tape is out on Sean, can't sneak up on teams anymore. Do you think teams are going to kind of key in on him more? And is it fair to say that he can reproduce what he did last year and even, take it to another level?
Yeah, I think the secret was out on Sean probably after the first couple of games. You saw a lot more bracket type coverages. You saw a lot more guys playing softer. Sean will be the first one to tell you still got to stop him. But how we're built, where if you're going to bracket somebody out, then we're going to go somewhere else with the ball, and that's just as beneficial if you're going to draw coverage like that. I think Sean can do whatever it is that his body allows him to do, because mentally he's in the best space he's ever been in. He knows right now that he's the best receiver in this conference, and he knows he's one of the best receivers in the country. And I think, like we talked about confidence a year ago, I think we knew that. I think he was starting to believe it. Right now, the way he's worked, the way he had a spring. He didn't have a spring a year ago. He had a full summer. I think obviously people know who he is, but still got to stop him.
Coach, I'm reading Joe Madden's
Just one question? You got two.
Well, I'm going to get to it eventually.
Okay.
I'm reading Joe Madden's book. He talks about the 5 levels of professionalism when it comes to a coach, and his first 3 are really interesting. Talks about you got to go through, you're happy to be there, then you survive. The 3rd one was interesting, you belong. Do you think that applies to you? And if it does, when did you feel you belonged?
You always got me thinking. I don't know if I ever felt the first 2. I waited to take a job until I thought I was ready. I think I've been really open about. I never thought about being a head coach. I think probably because I was just so busy doing whatever job I was doing at the time. I thought when I felt like I was ready is when I took the job. I felt like I belonged right away. I think you need, just like anybody else, you need validation from proof of concept. And I'm not saying I didn't screw a bunch of stuff up. I did, but I felt like I belonged from the minute that I stepped in here. You have to, because if you show any sign of weakness or you have weakness, you're going to get exposed in this deal. It just happens too fast. So I don't know that I ever felt the first 2.
Coach, my second one. You got 2 pens on that whistle. Is there a reason for it? Is it like one good thing and one bad thing?
Yeah, no. The red is we need to change immediately. The black is just notes for later in the day.
Thank you.
And also, usually I'll lose one. They break.
What did you screw up, and what are you going to be better at?
Man. Probably better question for when I retire. Honestly, I think when I got here, the best advice I ever got was, man, move on from everybody. If you're, no matter if you're taking over a winning program, a losing program, you got to get your own people in here. I don't know that it wasn't at 100%. I felt like a year in, I had to make changes to where I truly felt like they were all my people. I'm talking from a personnel standpoint, coaching, support staff. I think probably at times, I don't know. I felt like I was trying to always find a gray area, like not a gray area, but a fine medium of making sure that we're having fun while working. I feel like as we've recruited guys that can have fun while working really, really hard. That's probably one. I think the things I did extremely well were we never talked about the past, never talked about the future, just talked about the present. That was probably the biggest thing, was just attacking today. But those are probably the two biggest things, unless you start talking like in-game. There's a couple of calls I'd like back.
Is there anything about, and you talked about this when you got the job, and you told your wife, this is going to be different. Be calls coming in at 3 a.m. that I got to take, and I got to solve this problem, and people recognizing me, and is all the external stuff ever strange, or is it just rolling with it, like this is just part of the deal?
Yeah, I think a lot of that, the time at Tennessee probably prepared me for, in that regard. Strange, no. I think you're never off. Like you're always, there's 130 players and 70 whatever people work with us that are constantly watching what you're doing, outside of the community and all that. But like you could be yourself, but you can't ever, you got to be careful what you say and your emotional attachment to what you say. So that's probably the most unique thing.
But you say it not right, it's going to follow you, and just.
Yep, you better think twice when you say something in front of the team, in front of the staff. So you always are on. You're never like.
Yeah, you're never unnoticed.
Never off the record.
Never off the record. That's probably the best way to put it.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
Atkins broke all our season records last year, on pace to break our career records this year.
What's going on?
So Sean, you have spoken about your story. It's widely known, but I guess, did you give a different version to the team? Coach was saying you spoke and you were more emotional about it or something?
Yeah, I kind of went into more of the mental health side of, playing college football. It's hard on all of us. The days are long, taxing, and you got to also battle with a social life outside of it. Not everything's going to go your way, but it's kind of just what I explained to them is football has been my sanctuary. That's the place that I go whenever my head's not right. I can come out here and, you're just trying to perfect the play in front of you. So this thing has really elevated myself and my life in a aspect that I never thought it would really happen. And I was just trying to be vulnerable with them and just tell all the young guys that you're going to have those dark days, but it's always going to be worth it in the end.
Are you an example to somebody in that room that doesn't think I got a shot here, that they can look at you?
Yeah, for sure. I have conversations with them all day. Everything is about the details. You got to come in every day and focus on everything that, the coaches want you to work on. You want to be able to perfect your craft in whatever way. Scout team just happened, and personally, that was my favorite time. You could try whatever you want, without any penalty. You kind of just go out there and play football and just have fun and just perfect your craft. And then whenever the moment comes, you're ready for it because you repped it 100 times. You're going against the defense every day, so you get to go and sharpen your skills, and then you kind of earn the respect of the defense as well.
Coach said you were a little uncertain at the start of last year about how good you could be. He said now you realize you're the best receiver in the conference, one of the best in the country. How did that evolve?
I think just understanding how to get your process right. That guy really harps on your process and making sure that you do everything right off the field, get your body right, you're studying, because preparation is the main key for success. So whenever you get everything right and you're going out there and having real confidence and really playing at a high level, you kind of go out there and you just react. You're not really thinking. You're just putting yourself in the best position. And, Byram's going to find you. Byram's a dog, so he's going to get all of his playmakers the ball. And it's just my job to go make those plays whenever it's my duty. And then the confidence aspect of it kind of just came with just really repetition and just realizing that, I'm past what I was in the past, and I am who I am now. And that football player is just somebody that plays at a high level every play.
He also said he thought you would be a coach one day. Does that?
Yeah. So I would, I never want to shut that out. You know, I love football too much to just kind of step away from it. And he jokes with me all the time, you know, maybe I'll work for him one day. I don't know if I can handle him that long, though.
A lot of people, they look at Golesh, they call it swagger or whatever, that it factor, and you know, he talks to you all the time. How do you play off of that? You know, the things that he says in private moments, and just how he jabs you maybe or whatever. How do you play off of what he tries to put in your head?
Yeah, he really makes like a relationship where, you know, you can really trust him. You know, whenever he's having fun, you're having fun. When it's time to lock in, you're kind of locked in. But whenever you make a play and you come over and he's the first person to run off and jump up with you, it means something. You know, it really keeps you going. I think I threw a pass to Byron one time and he was more excited than I was, you know. So just seeing that and his reaction and just the love that he has for every one of us, it's just something special. And he really kind of has his own swagger. I don't know how to describe it. And he has a good taste in music too, though.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah.
Sean, can you talk about the new players in the receiver room? I mean, last year at this time, you're still trying to figure out what's going on there, who's who, a lot of new faces. This season, it sounds like you got a lot of depth. Some new guys have come in and are doing very well in camp. If you could talk about that.
Yeah, so all the new guys, you know, they're coming in, they're hungry. You know, they transfer for a reason. They want to be that guy. So I kind of feel like everybody's just still playing with a chip on their shoulder. You know, we got a lot of young guys from last year, still trying to prove their way and prove their worth and trying to make plays in practice to get on the field. And it honestly pushes me as well, you know, like whenever I see the young guys making plays, I just have that like competitiveness that I want to go out and make plays. And I think we kind of just build off of one another. And the depth part of it, I think, is just better for everybody. You know, we can kind of go out in a healthy, with a healthy room, and you never know who's going to start each week, you know. So just having the ability to, you know, use different pieces, and all of us have different skill sets, and it just kind of keeps the defense guessing, I feel like.
Is there a lot of competition among you guys, too?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I feel like we just compete with one another. I think that the whole room is just super competitive, and we kind of just push each other to get the best out of one another.
How do you feel about the tight ends, the group of tight ends you have?
Yeah, you know, I was watching Jonathan Eccles' highlights yesterday. Yeah, if you guys want to see some highlights, go watch his sophomore highlights. Yeah, that guy's a different animal. But all those guys, you know, they have a unique skill set. Peyton, you know, he came in from Cincinnati, and he's playing at a really high clip. You know, Gunner, he's always going to do what he wants to do. And Wes, you know, we got to get him back healthy and get back on the field.
Sean, when you look at your roster, I think you have 22 graduate students. So you have a whole array of guys that are physically and mentally mature on this team. What do you think that means for the team?
Whenever you have experience on the team, you know, it builds off of one another. You know, you kind of just pick up on ways that, you know, the older guys are doing it, the people that have played, because in-game is a lot different than practice reps. You kind of just get a different feel, and when you have guys like that, they can teach the younger guys and just kind of look for things that you normally wouldn't look for whenever you don't have experience.
Sean, I don't know if you're familiar with the collegiate career of Hunter Renfrow up at Clemson.
Yeah.
Very strikingly similar to yours. Walk on at Clemson, he catches the pass to win the national championship and gets drafted. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that would. You know, he's an absolute dog. You know, I feel like I picked up some things from his game that I incorporated in my game. You know, I think that both of us are just trying to make people miss, and I feel like we use that to best ability.
Sean, I think you were in the back of the room when you said this, but will you be the first to tell me that someone still has to stop you? Is that the mentality that you take into this season?
Absolutely. You know, if you win one rep, I have the mindset, I tell all the guys, like, if a DB wins one rep, you got to keep guarding me every play. Like, it's a long game, you know, so you got to keep on guarding me over and over again, and I just feel like I'm going to win more than you. That's just how I feel.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm guessing you did not have any thoughts about changing your number, but, you know, it's not a receiver number. Could you just take us through your angle on that?
Yeah, 38's just, ever since I got here, you know, it just reminds me of that person, you know, just walking in and kind of starting at the bottom of the depth chart, you know, the ladder, whatever the case may be. And it just means something to me, you know, like, it just reminds me of all the work that I put in to get to where I am today. And it's just something that I would never change.
Okay, so this is, honestly, you didn't even think about it, like maybe 17 or anything like that. It's more of a receiver sounding, or 81 number, never.
I mean, I could ask Byron to get 17. I don't know if
bad example. 81 like an 80s number.
Yeah. I would think if I was to change, I'd probably go to 0. I don't know.
You
would have changed your number, that would have been terribly disappointing, actually.
I think so. I don't think I'd play with any
wouldn't have been the
confidence.
same guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Synonymous with your journey, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
John, do you feel a little bit more pressure to perform this season, to reproduce what you did last year, and you can improve on that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that. Golesh and LD do a really good job of just, relaying information to me about, like, expectations are just other people's opinions. As long as you go out and perfect your craft and continue to make the plays how you make plays every time you're out on the field, everything's just going to take care of itself. So if you put pressure on yourself, you're going to do things out of the ordinary, and you're not going to play your style of football, your game. So I feel like I just want to stay in the present and just continue to work hard every play.
Thanks, Sean.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Stokes. Our illustrious punter from Australia, Andrew Stokes.
How we doing?
Good. So what kind of a season do you think you had last year? I asked Coach that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't think it was where I wanted it to be or where I saw it going. It was just very up and down, inconsistent, like Coach said. It was, obviously, I want to be doing my best effort for the team, and that means being consistent in every single one of my punts. So, yeah, it wasn't quite the standard of where I wanted to be, but, I mean, that's why we come back, have the off-season, go to work, and get better.
So the off-season, Coach has mentioned you a lot. You feel like you're primed for a good one here based on your work?
Yeah, I think I am. I think I've made a lot of changes in, I guess, my routines and my processes, and trying to figure out what works for me and what worked last year, what didn't. And I've gone back and watched countless hours of film to really hone in on what I can do to be better. And yeah, I think the consistency piece it's still getting better. It's never going to be where I want it because I'm chasing perfection, but it's definitely a lot more consistent than where I was. So it's a lot of just talking to my coaches and finding out, seeing what they can see, and then watching the film and seeing it for myself.
Andrew, how did USF get on your radar? Did Trent Schneider have anything to do with that?
I don't think initially he had anything to do with it. The way it sort of works with Pro Kick, they'll try and find a school where an Aussie might be in their last year and will possibly be like graduating. So I put together some film when I was back home, and they ended up sending the film over to a few schools, and USF were the first ones to offer me a full ride. So yeah, it was just, for me, it was an awesome opportunity to get to go to another country and play a high level sport and just have a unique experience that none of my friends back home would have. So yeah, it was, as soon as I found out, I was committing right then and there.
Right. Who are some of the guys on the front end that maybe, really gave Pro Kick a lot of attention? I know you had Mitch Wishnowski there, Tom Hackett some years ago.
Yeah, Cam Johnston, Tom Hackett, Mitch Wishnowski, they're probably the ones. Aaron Sipos as well, he played at the Eagles for a little bit. So, I mean, those guys are pivotal to getting the Pro Kick name out there and really showing like the pathway of how it can be done and what Aussies can do and putting it on national television. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys in college now from Pro Kick. So, I mean, they're also getting some notice, and it's helping the Pro Kick pathway a lot.
And have you shared your experiences with a lot of the youth back in Australia? Let's say this is something that you could do as well because the opportunity's there.
Yeah, I've definitely had guys back home reach out to me and ask, and how is it all going? What's it like? Was it worth it? And all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I tell them all it's extremely worth it. You're getting an education, you're getting a new experience that you won't regret. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I'm passing on to the guys back home.
How many years of eligibility do you have remaining now?
This is my last.
This is the last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Andrew, Alex Golesh called you the Papa Bear of the special teams room. Does it ever get tiring, or does it kind of amuse you when people reference your age and your veteran status?
Yeah, it's kind of just a laugh now. I mean, I don't really take myself too seriously, so
I probably make more old jokes about myself than any of the other guys, so it just takes away their joy. They can't do it. But, yeah, I mean, it's all part of the fun. I mean, I knew I would have that when I first came in, that the age was going to be different to a lot of guys. And, yeah, I mean, you just got to have fun with it. It makes the guys happy when they get to joke about it. It makes me happy, and even the coaches joke about it as well. So, yeah, it's all in good nature, and, yeah. They can only do it for 6 more months because then I'll be graduating. So,
Are you 30?
I am 30.
When are you 31?
December 14th.
December 14th.
Yeah.
So you're on the field with some, I think, 17-year-olds. Are they teammates or are they kids? How do you look at those guys?
It just depends on what scenario. I mean, it's difficult when you hear that they're born in 2004 or something like that. That's not always fun to hear, but. Yeah, no, I mean, they're teammates. I love them all the same, whether they're the older ones like Kelly Joyner or they are younger and 17. I think for me it's about teaching them what I know about football and how I can help them, but also I guess just being there for them and life advice. I feel like with the sport I played back home and then coming here, I've got a different outlook on how to handle things and can, I guess, push some life advice onto them. So I feel like I do that really well in our room, in the specialist room, and I think for the most part they appreciate it. Sometimes there's hard truths told, but I think, yeah, for the most part they appreciate it and just helps them.
Coach Golesh said you are his favorite player. Can you talk about your relationship with him?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's probably just because we're closest in age, but yeah, he's awesome. I think the Australian culture back home is very sarcastic and you poke fun at each other all the time. So having a coach like that makes football for me more fun. It just makes me feel like I'm at home. I'll be out there lining up to punt and he'll come up and just say something in my ear just to try and throw me off. But it's all in good fun, and I think that not just for me but amongst the whole team really creates that fun environment and allows you to enjoy football, and you're going to get the best out of yourself from that.
Do you have family here in the States, or is everybody back home?
Everyone's back home, so yeah.
They've been able to come to see you?
Yeah, my mum and uncle came over last year for about a month and saw a few games. I think they saw, maybe 2 or 3. But yeah, this year my mum and dad are going to come over again for 2 months, and that way they get to do senior game and graduation and my birthday and then Christmas, which will be nice because you don't always get to have Christmas at home. So, but yeah, I'm super pumped to have them come over. And Dad's he's been to America, but he's never seen college football, and the atmosphere is like nothing I've ever experienced. So I know he loves his sport, loves watching me do what I want to do. So yeah, he's going to be pumped.
And your mother, I imagine that was her first exposure to American football in person then when she was here last year.
Yeah, she'd watched a couple of games that were featured on the TV back home, but I mean, she was up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning to watch them, and to be honest, there was no point because she didn't really know what was going on anyway. I talked to her the next day and she's like, "Oh, did you even play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." So she'd have to rewind and find the punts, but yeah, even seeing her in the stands last year and being able to watch it in person, she still didn't really have any idea of what was going on, but there's a lot of families around there that were helping her out and telling her what was going on. So I know she had an absolute ball, and she's going to love it again, I'm sure.
That had to be a really neat time for you to have family there last year, right?
Yeah.
It was a very proud moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's always tough, like, come out after a game and everyone's going to see their families, and usually I'll attach myself to Gunnar Greenwald's family and go and see them. But yeah, it was cool having them experience what I've loved for the last couple of years while I've been here, and what I like to do, and I could explain it so many times to them, but they never understand truly what goes into a practice, what goes into games, and until they actually experience it. So to have them there was really important for me, and then to have them here this year again for graduation and things like that will be even more important.
I don't want you to give away any trade secrets, but when the personal protector turns around and whatever code word it is, they're coming. Here comes 10 guys to try to block the punt. What goes through your mind?
It's usually, I hope I've created a strong enough relationship with the other 11 players on that team, because if one of them doesn't like me too much, they might let someone through. But no, I'm really close with all the guys on the punt unit. I think our team is we don't really keep to ourselves. We all intermingle. So yeah, I've got a really close relationship with all the guys on the shield and on the front line as well. And I know they said that they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that no one touches me. So it's nice. It's a comforting feeling having them protect me like that.
Directional punting. Everybody thinks that's easy. It's not, is it?
Yes, it's not super easy. There's a lot punting in general. I think it's 90% mental, 10% physical. That's just how we look at it. I think everything has to be just right. It's such a specific, the way you drop the ball, the angle, to how big your steps are. There's a lot that goes into it, and if just one of them is off, then all of a sudden the whole punt can go to waste. So yeah, it's really specific, but it's more mental than anything.
Last question. Punting the point. It almost looks like a sand wedge when it comes down. It hits and bounces back.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think it's just the rotation of the ball. Sometimes you get lucky and it bounces your way. There's definitely been times where it's bounced forward. So yeah, I could sit here and tell you guys that, yeah, I create it to bounce backwards, but yeah, it's just not how it happens. It's just the way it bounces, unfortunately. It's a funny shaped ball, and sometimes it bounces your way.
Even though you are Alex Golesh's favorite player, you are the player he doesn't want to see play on the field. What's that like to be a punter with a head coach that's all about offense and making first downs, and he don't want you in the game?
Yeah, I mean, I usually joke with him and ask him for at least one punt, especially when my family's here, just so they can see it. But I mean, like, that's just the nature of the position. I mean, like, obviously, I love being able to play, but I know that if I'm not playing, that's a good thing, and that the team's doing good and we're winning, and that's ultimately where I want to be. I mean, we've mentioned that I'm 30, I'm getting old a bit, so if I can rest my body some weeks, that's even better. But no, it's just how football is, and if the team's winning, I mean, my first 2 years were pretty rough, and we didn't really see too many wins, so I just like to keep the wins rolling, and if that's how it's going to be and I don't get to play as much, then so be it.
I got to sneak one more in.
Go for it.
When you're watching a game, NFL, college, whatever, if the punter makes a tackle and he's viciously aggressive, you can go, that's an Aussie guy. Why is that?
Yeah, I think that goes back to our national sport, the AFL. All guys have to be able to kick the ball. You have to be able to tackle, defend, and all this kind of stuff. So I think somewhere deep down inside all the Aussie punters, there's a bit of that nature in them that they miss being able to tackle and get in there and be a bit rough and enjoy that kind of physical nature of the game. So, I mean, if you get the chance, you got to take it.
Andrew, what was the biggest challenge for you as it pertained to the American style of punting?
I think it was more, the biggest challenge for me was definitely the rules and understanding that. I know when I first got here, I had some of my teammates, and I used to tell them, like, when I go out there to punt at practice, like, you need to show me how far back I have to stand, because I was still learning a few of those things and just like the rules and intricacies of it. But I mean, we watched so much film, and I was asked the guys on the sideline whether it's my position or not, ask them questions and just try and build my knowledge that way. But yeah, it was definitely understanding the game and when I'm needed and when it's crucial and when I'm not.
You want to play pro football?
Love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that is finally done, what will you do with your life?
I mean, I want to be involved in sport at some capacity. I know Coach was talking about guys who might want to be football coaches, and I don't know if I want to be a full-time football coach, but I feel like I've got the skills to be able to teach punting and kicking of some sort. So potentially that, but I mean, I'm just a lover of sport. I want to be involved in it at some level. So yeah, that's probably the route that I'll take.
You've got your master's degree?
No, this is undergraduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your degree?
Communications.
Communications.
Yeah.
Okay. So by no means are you old at age 30, but people who are 30 are sitting in an office doing adult things.
Yeah.
You're being young by being around younger people. Do you think that'll serve you well in some fashion and moving on with your life, that you have this youthful outlook?
Yeah, I think so. In some respect, I sit there and wonder, should I be working right now? But I think for me, I want to play sport for as long as I can, and this is an awesome opportunity to get a great education and at a great university. So if I was working in an office, I probably wouldn't be in America right now. I wouldn't be getting my degree and all that kind of stuff, or making the friends that I have here. So I think I do look at that and think, maybe I should have gone that route, but for me, I just remind myself that we're all on a different path and there's no timeline, there's no set timeline for everyone. So I'm just happy to live in the present and figure out the rest of it when I need to.
What line of work were you in as you were going through the Pro Kick program?
I used to be a manager for a hospitality and catering warehouse. So not quite the office job. It was a little bit dirtier than that. But after being there for about 7 years, it was kind of time to move on. I was looking for a new adventure, and when I heard about Pro Kick, I took the chance. But yeah, I did that for quite a while, and I'm glad I'm here now.
How old were you when you entered the Pro Kick program?
I was 27 when I entered it, yeah. So a lot older than most.
What was your family's reaction when you said, hey, I'm going to go to Tampa, Florida at USF?
Yeah, it was quite different. I know my family and I are really close, so they're very happy being comfortable, and I mean, for me, I like to have new experiences, and so I'm kind of the opposite to most of them. But yeah, I remember telling them that I was joining Pro Kick, and they were asking me what it's about, and I said, it makes punters and sends them to America. And Mum wasn't happy. I mean, she was crying because then her baby boy is about to leave, and not just to the other side of the country, it's to the other side of the world. So yeah, she wasn't super. She was happy, but she was obviously sad at the idea of it. But then, yeah, for my dad, he was kind of a bit unsure. I mean, when I was a bit younger, I used to just full head of steam into any idea without really thinking it through. So we never really knew much about American football or scholarships and all this kind of stuff. So he was on the back foot until I got a scholarship, and then he realised that I'd actually thought this one through for once.
Thank you, Andrew.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Working Sagittarius.
Yeah, Sagittarius.
Me too, buddy. Wanderlust, buddy. Got that exploring in our blood. When's yours? Phil, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out today. We got Safety's Wednesday.